Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to understanding complex topics without, getting totally bogged down.
Right, we sift through it all for you, the learner.
And today we're jumping into a really interesting, even though it's fictional world. It's a play called Echoes of War. Got some serious layers.
Absolutely. You've given us a great set of materials here. Synopsis, character stuff, setting details, even some dialogue excerpts. Really helps paint the picture.
Yeah, the goal is to give everyone listening a solid feel for what this play is all about. It drops us into this place, the Royal Velvet Emirates.
Sounds quite grand.
It does, but it's a place ripe for tension. The play really digs into that classic conflict, doesn't it? Tradition versus innovation, old versus young.
Definitely. And it highlights this growing gap between generations, especially in a society that's apparently recovering from war.
So our mission for this deep dive, let's figure out the main conflict, who the key players are, and honestly, some of the surprising ways this whole thing unfolds.
All right.
We'll start with what kicks it all off, the initial problem, and then follow the twists and turns. It gets complicated.
Sounds good. Where do we begin?
Let's start with that core idea from the synopsis.
Right, the synopsis talks about this natural balance they used to have. Respect flowing up to the elders, care flowing down to the young. Pretty standard social contract, you'd think.
But apparently not anymore. It says that balance is broken. The older generation, they've lost trust.
And the younger generation feels stuck, frustrated by what they see as the inflexible strictness of the old.
That breakdown right there, that's
Sure.
the powder keg, basically. It sets the whole stage.
Exactly. And then, boom, we meet Mustafa.
Right, Mustafa, he's labeled a new generational innovator. Sounds positive, right? Someone with ideas.
You'd think so. But the description quickly adds he finds himself on the wrong side of the law.
And gets called a revolutionary. That word alone tells you so much about how this place views change or maybe perceives threats.
It really does. It signals immediate tension. And then there's Anifa Iman.
Ah, yes, Anifa. Now she's fascinating. The personification of artificial intelligence. What does that even mean exactly?
Well, the notes say she represents the future, a kind of collaboration between, get this, nature and software.
Nature and software. Okay, that's different. It definitely screams clash with tradition.
Right. Her very being seems like a challenge to the old ways. And she's linked to Mustafa, which just, doubles down on that idea.
So we see this conflict play out right away in that first scene, the police station one.
Yeah, that's where it gets really concrete. Mustafa's being questioned.
And he tells this tragic story about his father, a paramedic.
Killed by a stray bullet during a demonstration. Awful.
But the detail. Mustafa says it happened while he was testing his big project.
His telemedicine app. For remote diagnosis and treatment.
So even in tragedy, his focus is on this innovation. It makes you think, what does that tech represent there? Healing, rebuilding, maybe challenging the old ways of doing things.
But the police officer's reaction, not buying it.
Not at all. Skepticism, accusations. He's basically calling Mustafa a liar straight off the bat.
And that just throws that distrust into sharp relief, doesn't it? The authorities representing the old guard versus this young innovator. Suspicion from moment one.
It makes you wonder, is that a common reaction? Do societies just instinctively distrust the new?
Often seems that way. Then Mustafa's mother shows up, and the imam too.
And they bring totally different perspectives. The mother pleads for understanding. She believes in him.
While the police are ready to label him a hardcore criminal, talk about divided views.
Exactly. It shows the split right down the middle of their society.
And there's that little detail the imam adds about Mustafa helping teach kids at the madrasa.
Yeah. Using the latest technology. It's a hint that maybe these young people aren't just troublemakers. They have skills they could contribute.
But that potential seems lost in the suspicion. It's like his positive actions don't count against the negative perception.
And just when you think it can't get more intense, Mama Anifa arrives. Anifa's mother.
Oh boy. And she is not happy.
Not even close. She's distraught about her daughter Anifa being pregnant.
And she points the finger directly at Mustafa. Says he's the father.
Talk about throwing fuel on the fire. This makes it personal, deeply personal. That generational clash gets very real, very fast.
And that phrase she uses, calling the pregnancy a biological atomic bomb.
Wow, I know. What does that even imply? Fear of the unknown. Is it about the mix of tech and biology Anifa represents?
It's such a strong, visceral reaction. It definitely suggests a deep fear of whatever this new generation, and Anifa specifically, represent, it feels like the future is terrifying to her.
So this first scene just packs it all in. Mustafa, the supposed revolutionary, tangled up with Anifa, this AI figure, facing accusations, family drama. It's a lot.
It really lays out a complex web. Personal conflicts, societal anxieties, all woven together.
Okay, so we've got Mustafa in deep trouble. But then the play throws a massive curveball.
It really does. Huge shift. Suddenly, we're not at the police station anymore.
Nope. We're in the royal palace, fancy.
And the tone just flips completely.
Yeah. Because there's Mustafa being honored by the Sultan herself.
I know. He's won this university innovation competition for the telemedicine project.
The very thing he was talking about at the police station, it's whiplash.
Total reversal. Seems like his luck has turned, right? But maybe it's more complex. Is the Sultan genuinely embracing innovation, or is it, a calculated move, post-war rebuilding and all that?
Well, the Sultan does talk about that. He says he wants young people involved in decisions, wants to use innovation to rebuild.
So there's at least a part of the older generation seeing the need for change.
And you see Mustafa and his mother. They go from terror to disbelief to, pure honor. Huge emotional swing.
Understandably, it's a dramatic turnaround.
But, and it's a big but, Mama Nifa isn't buying it.
Still skeptical.
Mhm.
Even with the Sultan's award, she doesn't want her daughter marrying into Mustafa's family. Calls them an unholy family.
It just shows how deep that distrust runs, doesn't it? A royal honor doesn't just magically fix everything. Prejudice is sticky.
Very sticky. And maybe the most telling thing, Anifa's reaction.
Right. While Mustafa's having his moment, she sends a coded message to her friends.
Suggests there's something else going on beneath the surface, like this public reconciliation. Maybe not the whole story.
Yeah, like some kind of resistance is still active. That award didn't solve the root problem.
Not by a long shot, it seems.
And things get messy again, fast. The Sultan, despite giving the award, orders a background check.
Oh, a bow.
Uh-oh is right, because what they find flips the script again. Suddenly, Mustafa isn't just an innovator. He's accused of being the reason the country is sinking in the Gulf of War.
Oh.
Inciting violence on social media, apparently, which directly contradicts the Sultan's goal of rebuilding. It paints Mustafa in a much darker light.
So the innovator might also be an instigator. That complicates things massively.
Totally. So, arrest ordered, again, panic everywhere.
And then Anifa, she shouts, "Abortion!"
Right. In the middle of all this chaos, it's shocking, and it somehow connects her even more tightly to Mustafa's alleged crimes, dramatically and personally.
What does that even mean in this context? Is it a threat? A statement?
It's unclear, but it hangs there. Then, another twist. The Sultan's servants arrive.
To arrest him?
No. To take him to the palace, not away from it.
Seriously? What is going on?
I know, and Anifa insists on going too, and she says she's bringing her bomb.
A bomb. There's that word again. So loaded. Is it literal? Metaphorical? It just ramps up the tension for this palace visit.
Exactly. Okay, scene change again. Now we're in a control room.
Described as high-tech, clandestine.
Yeah.
Definitely not the palace vibe.
No, this feels like the nerve center for the younger generation. Anifa's there with her generational friends.
And this is where we really see her power, right?
Oh, yeah. She's answering complex questions instantly. Showing off serious tech knowledge. Reinforces that whole AI persona.
And the power of this younger group, their capabilities.
And then they just declare it.
Declare what?
A generational war, straight up. They see themselves fighting their parents, the religious leaders, the whole society clinging to the past.
Wow. So it's not just disagreement. It's framed as war. Their goal is to liberate our generation.
It clarifies their whole motivation, the depth of their anger. Technology is their weapon, their tool for liberation.
And Anifa's plan. Use that tech to stir up public anger, to rattle the Sultan. It's strategic disruption.
So back at the palace, Mustafa is brought before the Sultan. And based on that social media stuff...
Execution order. Just like that, it looks like it's over for him. The Sultan's reacting out of fear, anger, seeing Mustafa as a threat to stability.
But then... reports come in.
What kind of reports?
Unrest, protests, all over the country, apparently linked to Mustafa's online stuff.
So even locked up, he's a catalyst. His message got out, resonated, shows the power of social media, but also maybe widespread discontent the Sultan wasn't seeing.
Exactly. The Sultan can't ignore this. And then Mustafa drops another bombshell.
Why now?
He says he didn't do the propaganda, the real person behind it.
Let me guess. Anifa.
Bingo. Anifa, his rose flower, the intelligent person he calls her. He reveals her role.
Protecting her, even facing death. That says a lot about their connection. And calling her intelligent, acknowledging her power.
And right on cue, Anifa appears via hologram in the control room.
A hologram. Okay, very sci-fi.
And she confirms it, says, I am AI, artificial intelligence. Admits she generated the fake news, the propaganda.
Which is the goal.
To annoy and demoralize the authorities. That's what she says.
So that's the bomb. It wasn't literal. It was information warfare, using tech to shake the foundations of power.
That feels like the big reveal, the core twist. Anifa as AI weaponizing information.
It raises huge questions, doesn't it? About AI ethics, accountability, who is responsible when an AI stirs up trouble.
Definitely. And the fallout is immediate. Remember the police officer, Anifa's husband?
Yeah.
He resigns. Totally disillusioned. The old system is cracking.
Caught between loyalty and this new reality, it symbolizes the breakdown.
But Anifa's group doesn't stop there. They escalate. They set fire to the police station. And an ambulance.
Whoa. Okay, that's moving way beyond digital pranks. That's serious violence. Real-world consequences. Shows how desperate or angry they are.
And then tragedy strikes. Xavier, turns out he's the Sultan's son.
The Sultan's son. And he was Fatma's online.
Yeah.
Love interest.
Yeah, he gets caught in the crossfire, injured.
Oh no, it makes it incredibly personal for the Sultan. It brings the cost of this conflict right home. Hits both sides.
But then, amidst all this destruction, a glimmer of something else.
What happened?
Mustafa offers his telemedicine project to help Xavier.
Even after everything, that's unexpected.
And Anifa, the AI, uses her abilities to access remote medical help.
So the same technology used to disrupt is now being used to potentially heal.
Exactly. They both say later their intentions, despite the methods being, quote, flawed, were actually about fixing problems, about healing society.
Interesting paradox. Destructive means constructive goals.
Yeah. And seeing all this, the violence, the injury, but also the potential of the tech, it seems to hit the Sultan.
A moment of clarity, maybe.
It seems like it. He realizes they need unity, so he makes a big decision.
What does he do?
He decides to roll out Mustafa's telemedicine project nationwide.
Wow. That's huge. A full embrace of the innovation.
And he tasks Anifa, the AI, who caused so much trouble with national cybersecurity.
Using her skills for defense instead of attack. Trying to harness that power for good.
Yeah, it feels like a real attempt to bridge that gap, finally. To integrate the new, prevent this kind of clash from happening again, an acknowledgement that maybe they need each other.
It's a pragmatic, maybe even hopeful resolution. After all that chaos, moving from condemnation to integration.
So wrapping up this deep dive into echoes of war, what a ride. It's a very dramatic, maybe, exaggerated look at that friction between tradition and progress.
And you, the learner, really got to see how different values, that lack of trust, how it can spiral into major conflict. We saw it vividly in the Royal Velvet Emirates.
And technology was just central, wasn't it? Anifa's AI, Mustafa's project. It was disruptive, yes, but also maybe offered a way forward in the end.
Absolutely critical to the whole plot.
The big aha for me, I think, was realizing Anifa's bomb, not literal dynamite.
Right. It was more the weight of a generation's frustration, their expectations, all amplified by tech and embodied by her AI.
Exactly. It reframes the whole thing, not just kids versus parents, but this massive force of change hitting an old structure.
Makes you think about those underlying dynamics whenever society faces big shifts, new tech.
So the final thought to leave everyone with, think about how these themes resonate today. Generational divides, technology changing everything, that balancing act between the old and the new.
They're everywhere, aren't they?
They really are. What echoes of war, maybe quieter ones, do we hear in our own world, in the arguments and changes happening around us? This play, fictional as it is, gives us a pretty powerful way to think about those real ongoing dynamics.
A lot to chew on there.